and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Foundation Brawl decks available in the Arena Store. They are available for a limited time, and every time they change decks, the previous ones are no longer available. I missed out, for example, on the Lorwyn Eclipsed Commander decks. But anyway, I picked up the other ones, so let's see how they are. And we'll start with Grub Storied Matriarch, Rakdos Goblins, the mana base. We've got one of the fetch lands that can fetch non-basic lands, so that's something. But it could use some improvement, and we'll see how the rest of the deck does. On we go. On the draw, facing Carmella Glamour Thief. So this could be a difficult matchup since the opponent probably playing lots of counterspells and removal. This isn't great since I don't have any goblins in hand. I can reveal Grub's Command to Auntie's Hovel to put it into play untapped, but I don't need an untapped land turn 1 so we can keep our Grub's Command a secret. I think we still try this. Arcane Signet is our only ramp artifact, although the curve is relatively low in this Foundations Brawl deck, so you don't really need that much ramp. We draw another land. I will decline. Opponent fetch Sanders Lounge. Unearth can get our commander back. Opponent ramps. There's Blood Artist. Let's ramp with Arcane Signet. And then next turn I guess we'll play Blood Artist Tarian's Journal. Not sure. This deck doesn't seem to me to be a synergistic sacrifice deck. Opponent keeps ramping. Alright, Swiftfoot Boots to protect their commander. We draw another land. So, Grub's Command. Right now, I'm thinking it's going to destroy an artifact or creature and then mill 5 to find goblins. Based on our draws, I'm not sure there's a critical mass of goblins to reliably get like at least 2 for Grub's Command. I think that's the minimum you want for that effect to be useful. So opponent can attach Swiftfoot Boots here. Although Carmella already has haste. They don't attack. Link Goblin. This is sorcery, so I guess if we're going to do this, we need to do it now. I could also play Grub, but I don't have any goblins to return from my graveyard to my hand. And transforming Grub into the Notorious Auntie isn't really useful because my creatures die if I blight onto them. So I guess we'll Grub's Command here. Destroy the boots. Mill myself, hope we hit some goblins. Alright, we hit 3 goblins, so that's pretty good. No attacks. Murderous Redcap. Masked Grizzlebrand. Opponent isn't really synergized with their commander's ability to play instants and sorceries. This only deals 2 damage. With all the mana I have in hand, I think I'd like getting Muxus here. Then I can play Red Cap if I sacrifice Goblin Matron, but that doesn't really do anything. Alright, and then Grub can return Grub's command. I could have also sacrificed Goblin Matron to Tarian's Journal and returned the Matron, but I kind of like getting Grub's command back. And then let's sacrifice the Matron. And we get Gut, although we have to discard. Tarian's Journal can only be activated at sorcery speed, so it's not like I could have drawn end of opponent's turn. This will discard land. Mask of Grizzlebrand lets opponent draw cards. If Carmella dies, they can pay life. And they'll draw 2 cards. So I might just destroy the mask again with Grub's command. Opponent fetches a land with Urza's Cave, gets Command Tower. Urza's Cave, a bit more expensive to fetch a land, but you can get any land, which is the upside. Opponent attacks. We draw a land. I think I will transform Grub because I want to transform her back to get Goblin Matron. I can also get Grub's command back again. I'm not likely to Blight. I could Blight onto Muxus and make a copy, although then I would have to sacrifice Muxus if I wanted to keep the attacking copy. But I can always get Muxus back when I transform Grub back into the Storied Matriarch. So I think that's worth it. I don't really want to discard anything here. So now I could Blight. I guess I still Blight onto Muxus maybe. Although I won't get the attack trigger. Let's Blight onto the Skull Taker. And then we'll sacrifice the token, because I have to sacrifice it at end step. We draw Mad Auntie. And then Sling Gang Lieutenant is good if opponents got a board wipe here. They've got Dark Ritual. Into Archmage Emeritus. We get Goblin Matron back here. Featured Goblin, I don't mind sacrificing to Gut. Mad Auntie, buffs Murderous Redcap, and then I can find maybe another Anthem with Goblin Matron. Let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 if I sacrifice a creature to Phyrexian Tower. So I could Grub's Command and maybe Mad Auntie. I could also use Stadium Headliner. Opponent's got Counterspell. I could Unearth, but then I can't Grub's Command. Opponent chumps Muxus. And then they're dead to Sling Gang Lieutenant. And I can sacrifice the mobilized token to Tarian's Journal. And there we go. Alright. So a pretty good showing from the Grub deck. Let's try another game and see if we can't replicate the success. On we go. On the draw. Not sure how good this hand is going to be. I don't think Murderous Redcap is going to have a lot of targets. But Bedevil can answer Teferi, and opponents likely to tap out to play Teferi, because it would be a lot to wait till you can hold up a counterspell along with Teferi. So I think we'll keep this because I've got Planeswalker removal. Alright, draw another land. It's cycle Forgotten Cave. But let's get the Loyalists out there. Don't have a turn to play. So I could fetch Surveil Land, but I think I'll play Geothermal Blog. Even though this has the basic land types, so I can fetch it with Bloodstained Mire. This is the sort of card I'd cut for another fetch land if I were building a deck with Grub. Okay. Well, we didn't sort of see how well Grub fared against Mono Blue, but I'll take it. Alright, let's try a different deck. On we go. Alright, so this is the Ura the Imitator Foundations deck. Very tribal. Not playing some of the powerful colorless artifacts. Like there are a couple, there's the Vanquisher's Banner at 5 mana that draws cards when you cast a spell of a particular creature type, and there's the new artifact, I forget the name, from Lorwyn Eclipsed that does the same and also pumps your creatures of a specific creature type. This deck could also play the enchantment, something Kindred, I think it's called, I forget the name, but that draws a card when a creature of a specific creature type enters or attacks. But they don't have it in this version. So I don't think this is the most powerful build, and again, the mana base could use some upgrading with having some better fetch lands instead of Evolving Wilds. But it seems to have some card draw, plenty of interaction and disruption, and some fairies to go with the commander, lots of instants as well. So let's see how it does. On we go. On the play, facing Lazav, Familiar Stranger. So opponent might have a Reanimator angle. I think this is keepable. I've got removal. Lazav has mana value 3, so Tyrant Scorn can destroy it. Fairy Fencing, not great without a fairy in play, especially against Lazav with 4 toughness. And then Rona's Vortex. Not sure how good Fairy Vandal is going to be. I didn't see a lot of card draw, especially repeatable card draw. But anyway, I think this is keepable. And we can flash in Fairy Vandal end of turn. Ura also has flash. Opponent mills me, interesting. Well, I'm actually kind of grateful they did, because I would have drawn 3 lands in a row. Refute. Don't have double blue for refute. And opponent didn't get much value off founding the 3rd path. They're missing black. Alright, that fixes their mana. I can put it on the bottom of their library next turn. We'll flash an Ura. We draw land, we draw a double blue. Alright, the top card of my library is not an instant or fairy. So I don't know what it is. And then I could actually Rona's Vortex only bounces creatures or planeswalkers, not artifacts. So I guess we'll hold up our instance here. Got plenty of removal, so I don't need to refute Lazav. And then fairy fencing, I've got fairies in play, so it's a lot better. So I think we'll Tyrant score in here. Draw land. It's a dual land. So whatever's on top is still not a fairy or instant. Hopefully not another land. So fairy fencing can remove some pretty big things. I think I'll refute that. Alright, and that's enough for opponent. Alright. Well, I think we played the deck according to the strategy it wants to be at, which is disrupt the opponent at instant speed and player threats at instant speed. Anyway, let's try another game and see how it does. On we go. On the play, I don't have a cheap fairy to go with Ego Drain, but I've got some interaction with Spell Stutter and Go for the Throat. And Waterlogged Teachings counts as a land. So I've got 3 lands, so I think this is keepable. And the center's tapped, so we'll play that. Scorn Coven. Home plays Tapland. We draw Pestermite. Wouldn't mind drawing land. So we'll hold up. I mean, we've got Pestromite, the Adventure on Spellscorn Coven, and our commander available. We even make opponent have to discard a card. Ife Prankster doesn't have Flash unless I've got Ura in play. Ego Drain is a sorcery. I guess we'll play Spellscorn Coven. Foretell cards make sense in a deck with Firelord Zuko. So, wouldn't mind drawing land. Alright, we draw land. So that means I can Ego Drain and go for the throat and hold up Spell Stutter. We'll attack first, and then we'll Ego Drain. Alright, what do we got here? Virtue of Courage is fine. Draugr Necromancer. Pathlighter. I guess we get rid of Iron Verdict. And then we'll hope opponent hasn't drawn a protection spell. Mysterious Pathlighter. We'll counter that. Birth Blaze is 2 damage to any target. And then we'll go for the throat Zuko so that we fizzle the House Mouse. And that's enough for opponent. Alright. So I think the Uru deck might want to replace some of the sorceries with some of those artifacts that provide additional advantage for playing creatures of a specific type. And then the mana base could use some upgrading. But it doesn't seem to be too bad. It seemed to work out pretty well in the games we played with it. Getting out fairies and then playing Disruption seemed to work out. Anyway, let's try the next one. On we go. Alright. So this is the Sig Wanderer Wine Wisdom Foundations deck. Interestingly, Merfolk in Tribal in Lorwyn Eclipsed is blue-white Azorius rather than blue-green Simic. So we don't get to play with some of the Simic Merfolk cards that would be pretty good. Again, this deck has a lot of Merfolk Tribal cards, And as always, the mana base could use some upgrading, swap out some basics for some more fetch lands, and maybe exchange a few cards, particularly non-creature spells, for cards that synergize with a tribal strategy. But let's try it out and see how it does. On the play, facing Maryland Fey Ascendant, so they're going to steal our cards. Lofty Dreams. I don't think I would include this in a Merfolk deck. Same with Spreading Seas. Spreading Seas can screw the opponent over, but in this case, this opponent is Sultai, so they won't mind having an island, unless we can cut them off having black or green. Anyway, this has 3 lands, so I think we could try it. And then Ponder. I guess we can do that now. Swords to Plowshares, I don't mind drawing. And will decline. I think I want to keep these cards. I mean, I'm basically keeping it for Swords to Plowshares. Elvish Mystic fixes for green. So we're not cutting them off green if we Spreading Seas the forest. So I guess this plays Sig. Now, I won't want to transform Sig into the Wanderbrine Shield this turn, because otherwise I won't have white mana up for Swords to Plowshares, or be able to do anything else. So we'll decline here. Okay, I did not expect that. So, not a real test of our deck strength. Not sure how good Flocking Posture will be, although it can protect a key creature from removal. Lofty Dreams, Spreading Seas, cards I probably wouldn't include. Restless Anchorage and Irrigated Farmland would be fine as lands in this deck, because the farmland can either be cycled or you can search it up with a fetch land if they were playing the non-basic fetch lands in this deck. Anyway, let's try another game, and hopefully we'll get to test this deck's mettle. On we go. On the play, only 2 lands, so even though I like Vodalian Hexcatcher, could be good against an opponent who's going to want to be casting non-creature spells. Lofty Dreams, an Aura is pretty risky against a Rakdos opponent, If I had another land, I think I would keep this hand, even with Lofty Dreams, but I think we take our free mulligan. Alright. Only planes, but I do have Arcane Signet. Azorius Charm for interaction. Not the greatest interaction, but I think we can try this. Alright, Meticulous Archive. We'll play Arcane Signet here. Opponent also plays Arcane Signet. Silvergill Mentor. But I think it's a 3-drop. Play tap land. I guess Larcenist has the most upside. And then I think I want to dig for either more Merfolk or some interaction or card advantage. Alright. Innocuous Rat kind of gets in the way here. But I think we play Sig, target Larcenist. Vivian Welcome. Not looking very useful, and I don't know how good it'll be in this matchup. Opponent chumps. Alright, well. We got rid of Murder. I think I'll transform Sig. There's Black Waltz number 3. And then I guess we'll target Tributary Vaulter so it can attack and pump Sig. We don't have attacks with Library Larcenist. And then we'll play Silvergill Mentor. Behold a Merfolk in play. So we're going wide. I might cycle Azorius Charm. one's got 4 mana. They've been missing land drops at least. So even though they've been ramping, they still don't have a ton of mana. Black Waltz pings us. Opponent draws 2. They've got 2 mana. They didn't attack. I think we cycle Azorius Charm here. I'll transform Sig. And who to make unblockable? I mean, make it so that they draw a card when they hit the opponent. I guess it's Sig because he can't be blocked. So I can Wandervine Prophets. We'll attack with Sig. Protect the Negotiators. And then I guess we Wanderwine, exile Silvergill Mentor, because if we get it back, we make another Merfolk token. We are tapped out. Siege Dragon. Well, we can destroy that with Argivian Welcome. Protect the Negotiator is already instant. So I can attack with Sig and Prophets. They can block the Prophets with the face down card. I guess I didn't need to cast Argivian Welcome at sorcery speed, although I suppose that was just as well, because if the opponent had attacked with Siege Dragon, that would have been pretty bad. Alright, we will definitely sacrifice a Merfolk to take an extra turn. And then, since I'm taking an extra turn, we'll just play Merfolk Looter now. Marrow Redrain. So that'll enable some pretty good attacks next turn. But I think we hold up Protect the Negotiators here. Do I counter a Braid? You know, I'm not sure I actually do. Although maybe I do, because otherwise that pumps Black Waltz. Sure. Opponent gains life because Black Waltz is lifelink. They've got 3 mana. That's too bad. And then I guess I can Rejuray, and then Flock Imposter counts as a Merfolk, so I can tap Black Waltz. And there we go. Alright. Okay, so the deck did pretty well. Again, I think I would make the improvements at least to the mana base, but it's been built pretty well from the looks of it. Anyway, let's try the last deck. Alright. So this is the Tristan Callous Cultivator deck, so Elf Tribal. So it's got Door of Destinies, which is definitely, I think, a card that I would consider including in any tribal creature deck. Again, the mana base could use some improvement. I'd replace Evolving Wilds and some of these basics with other fetch lands. But it looks like we've got lots of elves, a decent amount of interaction, and we might have some graveyard synergy as well. Anyway, let's try it. On the play, only 2 lands, although I do have Elvish Mystic. don't have any way of getting elves in the graveyard for Lysalan, although I guess my commander can do that. Normally, when I only have 2 lands, I usually mulligan, but I think we can play all of our cards, even if I don't hit land 3 with Mystic, and Tristan can hopefully enable the Dignitary, so I think we'll try this. And Morkane's Eyes can also help us look for land. I guess I do need to draw land for Tyvar. Opponent mulliganed a few times. They keep 5. They're playing Avatar Aang, so could be 5 color. Good stuff. They may or may not be synergizing with their commander's ability to transform Aang if they can do all of the bending. We draw land, that's great. I guess we ramp out our commander here. And then next turn, I think I don't want to transform Tristan, so I can either play 2 2-drops or Tyvar. Alright, we milled an elf, so that enables the Dignitary. Our opponent plays a tap land, so I won't transform Tristan this turn. Alright. Not sure what that was all about, but anyway, we'll take it. Let's try another game. On we go. On the play, facing older Raven Guard, so double team, making duplicates of creatures. Only 2 lands, but Elvish Elegy can help me dig for land 3. So can the Informant. So even though normally I mulligan if I have a hand with only 2 lands in the opening, I think we can try this. I'm going to play Forest so I don't have to take damage. And this is Sorcery. Only milling 3 cards, so we'll see how many creatures we mill. Alright, well we milled Everly Mentor. I'll get Forest because Necro Blossom Snarl enters tapped right now. And then we'll play the Informant, dig for land 4. I guess I could have played Nurturing Peatland to play Night's Whisper, but I would have had to have discarded a card, so I guess it's just as well. So let's play the Informant here. Well, Revitalizing Repast can be played as a tap land, so I think we can keep it. Hexing Squelcher. Good against blue. The ward ability is relevant against us, although I don't have any removal in hand right now. Anyway, we'll play tap land so that I can play a core drop next turn. I think I'll play Herald Unites the Elves. And then we'll attack. Opponent probably not trading. Opponent plays their commander. Alright, so opponent still attacks because they make a duplicate, but we have a free block, so that's fine. Alright, and then this taps for black. And I've got the Elderleaf Mentor in the graveyard, so even if I don't mill any other elves, or one of my Tyvar cards, I can always get that back. I could get Elvish Elegy back, but I think we want something that goes straight to the battlefield, so it's Elderleaf Mentor. And then, since we've got the Mentor now as a 3/3 because of the perpetual buff, we can attack with the Informant. Our mill was pretty bad with Herald Unites the Elves. We didn't mill any elves with it. One plays Ruby Medallion. Plays the duplicate copy of Hexing Squelcher. Zoni, I don't have any creatures in the graveyard for, so we're not looking good right now. I do have Elvish Elegy in the graveyard, so I will gain 2 life with Tristan. But I think we attack. Opponent does have a good block on Thorn Lieutenant, but I think they're still not blocking here. Alright, opponent chumps the Mentor, trade for Informant. Shaman of the Pack. Let's put that in the graveyard. Now, if opponent could have a board wipe, since they chumped with the creature, although they did trade, I can replay Tristan even if they do remove him. So I think we still play Tristan, play Night's Whisper. Abomination of Llanowar Prefect. Alright. If I transform Tristan, I'll only have 5 mana. Whereas I think I want 6 so I can play the Imperious Perfect and Abomination. Although I guess I can also, I have double the mana while the Lava Leaper's in play, and then I can get rid of the Lava Leaper with Herald Unites the Elves. Opponent does have 4 mana. Too bad one of these wasn't a swamp, because I could have probably played the Abomination of Llanowar and it would have been pretty big. Looks like opponents checked out here. Although they can clearly do something. Alright, they're going to time out. And that's it. Alright. So the verdict on these decks is, I think that they are good enough that they're worth buying from the store as Foundations decks. They've got enough tribal synergy built in. And then you can upgrade them by adding more fetch lands. And hopefully you already have those from other Brawl decks. And then adding the other artifacts as well. And you only need like a few of those to make it worthwhile, so you don't need to spend too many wild cards. So I think with a bit of upgrading, these decks are fine. And you can even play them as is, and they'll do pretty well, as we've seen. Anyway, that'll do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Do please like and subscribe. If you'd like to see another Brawl video, maybe with another commander from Lorwyn Eclipsed, let me know in the comments. And have a good one. Bye.